Hey, it's good, everyone. It's me, extra normally, but you can call me. Today we are going to be looking at my October 2024 through December 2024 sketchbook. This is like the fifth or fourth sketchbook that I've ever filled out, and I've been drawing in this thing pretty much every day. So I'm very, very ready to show everybody what I've been working on. Before we get in, this is a Moleskine sketchbook, and if you have never used one of these sketchbooks, highly recommend it. It's got a ton of pages, the paper quality is really, really nice, it takes ink very nicely, and even though this isn't the watercolor version, it can still take quite a bit of watercolor, which I was very, very surprised about, but it allows you to do quite a bit for relatively cheap. I think I got this thing for like 20 bucks on sale. So let's get into the sketchbook tour, and then I'll hop in at the end to give my final thoughts. Here's our beginning page, October 2024 to December 2024. Feel free, as we're going through the sketchbook, to read all of the little incidental poems and whatnot that I've written. And once we're done looking through all of it, we are going to come back here and we are going to check off and see if I had managed to reach any of these goals. Our first page right here, starting off strong. We have an arm holding some corn, and an arm holding, I believe, is a lantern. We have some more hands and arms. This guy kind of looks like Otacon, if you know Metal Gear Solid. More hands. Then we have some composition studies. Characters as well. Here we have just some little ideas for some comic pages, some thumbnail sketches. These two were both done freehand, I believe, and I'm very happy with the rendering on them. Same thing with these two guys. I believe they were freehand. Have a cowboy here. This right here is a fireplace at my friend's house. There's Okarun from Dandadan, if anybody has been keeping up with that. I have enjoyed the show more than I thought I would. So I'm glad that anime doesn't suck. We haven't reached that point yet. This is a little portrait of me. Ew. This little sketch of a girl. This is a little, I guess, concept sketch for one of the characters in my comic that I'm working on. His name is Ulysses. Just some more random sketches. I think I like the proportions on this one. Using a colored pencil to do some expressions, because what's the use in drawing a face if you can't draw it emoting? Here we have some hands. I quite like these. It's very easy to get your lines correct whenever you're using something as light as a colored pencil, and then you can just go in and darken the parts that need darkening, and then you can also add shadows. Right here is a portrait of Mads Mikkelsen that I did, and I screwed it up completely by going over it with watercolor markers. And it was looking really good before I did that, so very sad about that, but we move on. Some more portraits. I like this one right here. He just looks very angry, and I put the red behind him to accentuate that. I think this is supposed to be Michael B. Jordan. I can't quite remember. Here, if you have watched the video on my channel where I was making my thumbnail cards, these were the demonstration of how to use those. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. And then we here have some more hands. This right here is Roy Batty from the film Blade Runner, one of my favorite movies of all time. Here we have some, I guess, composition studies of the show Mr. Robot, one of my favorite shows of all time. Very good show. If you have not seen that, it has amazing cinematography. We have another hand. This was using a transparent post-it note, and it's just this hand right here, traced, if you can see that. Just playing around with lines. Here's from the film Blade Runner 2049. That's Jared Leto. God rest his soul. He's not dead, but more hands holding things. Cars? Cars are fun. Again, just like hands holding things. Mugs especially, I guess. I like the way this one turned out. I like the colors on it. And this right here is from the video game The Last Guardian. I'm gonna say this again, I have a lot of favorite things that I did in the sketchbook, but one of my favorite games of all time. The setting in that game is absolutely stunning and worth celebrating, which is what I'm trying to do here. A little watercolor study that I did from this artist right here, Uni0010, found it on Pinterest. And then here's a little watercolor portrait of myself. I got bug eyes. Drawing some figures. It's my girlfriend. There's Dev Patel, I believe. More expressions, really, just because I really want to draw good expressions, and I'm working towards that. This portrait I quite like. I exaggerated the length of his face, which I think worked out pretty well. Here we have my friend Dave, my friend Wesley. These were both very quick, probably like 20-second sketches. Here we have some studies of the manga Vagabond, which has amazing art. A little raven below them. This right here is just a watercolor of a photo that I took. Just messing around with watercolors always. Some more hands. These were all, yes, as it says right there, freehand. I had no underlying sketch for these. No pencils. Here we have just some environmental studies, I guess. Trying to get those values and shapes down, especially with the bridge right here. And then you have some flowers right there. And this right here is a study from this artist right here, Kathleen Ann McCarty. Here I was playing around with some gouache. I do have some gouache, and I quite liked it because it goes down like watercolor. There's some transparency to it, but once it dries, it's very matte. And if you apply it thick enough, you can have it be opaque as well, which is very fun. Here we have just some smaller thumbnail portraits. Same thing right here. I was kind of looking for like shapes in these, I guess, sort of like what's the negative space around them, like with her hair and whatnot. And figures facing away from your picture plane are very interesting, I think. This is Higgs from Death Stranding. Menacing guy. I love his golden skeleton mask. Here's another expression. You can tell I did that with colored pencil. This is another study from the manga Vagabond. And I really like how Takehiko Inoue does his hatching for his shading. Very, very precise. Another environmental study. This is Zoro. I've been watching through One Piece. I just got to Alabasta, and it took me like 6 months. Another environmental composition study from a photograph I took. Here we have a watercolor of Remford's photo that I found on Pinterest, I think. I was really just trying to nail down the perspective. then we have a series of composition studies from different films. In The Last Guardian there, we got Blade Runner, the Batman, that's the penguin standing on that window at the end of the movie. Shogun, amazing show, same right there. We got my cat right here done with a pencil. His name is Pepper. He bites me a lot. We have just some more sketches right here. I'm really trying to figure out here how to draw mouths, especially from a 3/4 view. Oh, it's Norman Reedus from Death Stranding. That's Sam Porter Bridges, baby. Here we have a little car. I went over with watercolor to do all those shadows, and I like how it sort of gives it all like a three-dimensionality, you know, really accentuates that form. And then getting right here, I got access to this pen right here. It's the Sailor Fude de Menin. And basically what that means is that the nib has a slight upward curve, meaning that you can vary your line thickness. And I had just gotten it right there, and I'm just playing around with it, and I use it more and more throughout the sketchbook. Like right here, you can sort of give thicker line weight to parts of the form that are supposed to be in shadow. Here's another car right here, done with pen and watercolor. Just a guy. This wasn't based on any reference or anything. I kind of just made him up. His name's Parker, I guess. Here we just have spheres. Boring, boring, boring. Here's a thief dressed up in a little burglar outfit with a fake gun, and that's a photo that I used, and I was sort of just like playing around with the shadows of the hand holding the gun and everything. I think it looks pretty good. Here we have just a splash page, a double spread of just hands. You know, I'm doing colored pencil sketches underneath and then going over that with pens, and I get quite a decent amount of enjoyment out of drawing hands, I will say. I used to be very terrible at it, but it's become more intuitive the more I've been drawing them. Especially if you break them down to sort of their basic shapes, like this is just like a trapezoid, three-dimensional trapezoid with like essentially just like cylinders on top of them, three segments of cylinders. Here I was trying to draw Gon from memory. If you've seen Hunter x Hunter, not good. I'm not an anime artist. Some more portraits. The proportions on this guy are a little wonky. This is a little study of I assume it was a pencil sketch of some comic or something, but I could not find the artist for the life of me, no matter how much how I cross-searched it. So if you know the name of this artist right here, if that looks familiar, let me know in the comments. Here we have more cars with a tiny little sort of like tricycle car behind it. And this right here, this sketch right here, this guy, all done with no reference, which I'm very proud of because, I don't know, I like the shapes and everything. You can tell I'm very inspired by Kim Jong-gi with sort of like the, you know, the bubble helmet and the sort of like shiny highlight on that. He does look scary, what the fuck? Porsche 964. Never seen this car in real life, but I just thought it looked cool. Those aren't the best sketches, but I still learned a bit from them. Ugh, is that mouthwashing fan art? I did a little short on my channel that was just like a trend on this, and not that I don't necessarily regret it, but I did not feel very good being beholden to sort of like a trend, using a trend audio, even if I do like the game. And I did enjoy making it. It's just, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be doing much trend stuff from here on out, just because that didn't really make me feel fulfilled in any sort of way. Some more sketches. This was all on the road, I believe. I was sitting in the passenger seat of my friend's car going to the first art museum in Nashville. There was a Japanese exhibit there that I had higher expectations for, and it was kind of a letdown. I was very disappointed. More cars. There's the Jujutsu Kaisen. They sealed Gojiro Satoru in there. Some freehand sketches of like fish islands portraits. Very fun. This right here is from The Last Guardian, and I really love the watercolor that I did over it. I tried to keep the shapes very simple, not having a lot of detail. Then right here is a photo that I took. I was really trying to emphasize the night sky behind the house. Then just some more things. Here's a portrait that's done entirely with just hatching. Very little cross-hatching in it. I just did like vertical and horizontal. And then this guy, I have no idea who this guy is. That was from Without a Reference, as you can tell. There's an angry dude right here. I'm not happy with the proportions on him. Same thing with these guys. Here's a cat wearing a wig. It's pretty silly, isn't it? Then here's a photo that I took. A little staircase. You can see below it, there's like a garden. Just a mess of sketches right here. Sort of no direction. Here we have some more hands, spoon, sword, bottle, knife. Very fun to draw hands again. A little portrait right there. I still want to draw more hands because I think that's a very powerful tool that you have in your arsenal if you're able to draw hands. I see so many artists who just, whenever they draw characters, they just hide their hands, and it's like, no, don't. Those are so expressive. You can do so much stuff with them. You can hold things. You can position them in certain ways. It's Pedro Pascal. And there's me. I made myself look ugly. Me again. Another fisheye portrait. More fisheye stuff. Fisheye is very fun to do because it's you're not really beholden to quote-unquote accurate proportions. There's a lot of exaggeration that you can do with it, and it just makes stuff look very silly. And then right here, I'm not gonna read it all one for one, but it was sort of just me writing down just like, why do I draw? You know, I was trying to like expound upon that. And I kind of just settled on, like, by drawing stuff, I'm able to pick things apart and understand them better. I think that's one of my main allures to drawing. Just helps me, you know, pick apart the world that's around me and just, like, fully grasp the reality of it. And then put my own spin on it. We have some 5-point perspective practice. I want to do more 5-point perspective going forward because it just adds so much energy to what would otherwise be just like a flat environment. So I want to get better at that. That's one of my future goals. Some more portraits. Don't really like this one that much. The hair is all right though. More portraits. I believe these ones are freehand, so I'm not really doing anything underneath them. That one's all right. This one right here is all right. The others, meh. Some of these have pencil sketches underneath them. Some dude with a mustache. Kind of looks like Omni-Man, but I think it's Tom Selleck. I like this one right here. I like the shape of the hat and the turtleneck. Very loose. Some more portraits. I really did a lot of portraits in here, even though I was like, oh, I want to draw hands, I want to do composition, blah, blah, blah. I just always come back to drawing faces. I like these a lot more than the others, though. This one's good, that one's good. I like the shape of this one. That's Willem Dafoe, I think. And here's just like an extension of those portrait sketches. We just got some like figure studies doing some sort of exaggerated poses. This right here is Gaius from Shadow of the Colossus, my favorite game of all time. one of my favorite colossi in that game as well. Again, just a little, I guess, would you call it a gesture drawing? Like I don't even know what you would call it. He's not like a person, but you know, like a walking behemoth. And then here are some just preliminary sketches for commission work that I did for my brother of him and his girlfriend. And I was just going over the photo reference to just try and nail down those proportions. And these were the first sketches I did, and they just don't look really good. They look off. They don't really look like him and his girlfriend. Same thing with these right here. I was really just trying to pinpoint what was looking off with them. So that's what all these notes here are for. And this is just an inking of this right here. And as you can tell, the proportions are just not it. And then I just went with the photo reference on my phone, and I put down a transparent sticky note right here above it. And I literally traced his face just to see like what I'm missing out on, and that helped me a lot. Then these are sort of working through that a bit more. This was a failed attempt at this, so I just went over it with marker and whatnot to turn it into something else. See, as you can see, we're getting closer, but we're not quite there yet. Then if you look at this right here, this is essentially that right there, just broken down to it's a Loomis head. And then I used that to construct that right there without really any tracing or anything. But like, this was very helpful because it sort of allowed me to break things down to their simplest forms. Pardon me. And then we have the same song and dance for his girlfriend right there. That's the actual traced image of her. And I just like used that as a reference when trying to figure out the positioning of her head, because she had her head in a very strange position. It wasn't a full profile. It was like it was a profile, but she has her head tilted away from the camera, so that sort of messes with the shape of the skull and the eyes because they sort of like recede sort of back into the left. Here's just drawing some mouths, sort of figuring that out more. Some more portraits, trying to pay more attention to sort of the Loomis head proportions. And this one is all of the same girl, but just like toying around with different expressions, and like this right here is constructed using a lot of sharp angles. Here we have just some more composition studies of sort of like city life, I guess you could call it. Then right here is more of like the portrait of her, still working through that, trying to learn how to draw mouths from a 3/4 view. From the way her head is tilted, the lips were very hard to get correct, so this was to help with that. And this right here is essentially her Loomis head. And I did finish that portrait, by the way, and I'm very happy with it. I think I got it down pretty good. Again, just messing around with mouths. I migrated from hands to mouths just because mouths are so hard to draw, but I think I'm getting better at it because I'm learning what aspects of it to emphasize and which to not. There's my brother right there while we were eating lunch together. Some environmental stuff right here, just testing out different angles of like a same building. Here's where we get to the sketches that I like really like, and I want to push forward with this style more as we get into the future, just because like, I don't know, something with it really clicked with me. But you can see like the colored pencil outline underneath, and for some reason that just unlocked something in me that, you know, I was able to like get into this flow state. So you'll see more of this in the future, I think. And here we have some like boxes and stuff, trying to do different poses, full body stuff. I think in my next sketchbook, I want to do more full body, some full body gesture, like being very gestural. I want to show movement. I want to show different weird angles, and I want to just draw. I just want to draw humans. I draw a lot of faces. I don't draw a lot of bodies, so I'm gonna try and change that with the next sketchbook. And here we have our final page. This is a portrait of myself using sort of this style of drawing that I was doing back here, which I was doing all those with this pen right here, because you're able to get really thick and thin lines with one pen. I did a live stream of me drawing this. If you want to check that out, I saved the live stream on my channel. It was very fun, and a couple people tuned in and left some comments, and they were very nice, and it was very fun to interact with them. One of the commenters right here, I was like, hey, what should the caption be? And I'm gonna pick whatever the first comment is, and they had just put that in as a comment, sort of like besides, you know, just like asking, like not even like meaning to have it as like the caption. I was like, you know what? That was the first comment I saw after I said that. We're gonna put that on the page. So yeah, then here we have our final sort of like back cover. And what's in here? Oh, look at that. Look at that. We have our thumbnail sketch cards that I use to do thumbnail sketches. They're in different aspect ratios. This is like widescreen right here. This one's standard format. And this one is widescreen as well, but just larger. So it fills up an entire, like half of a page. Very, very, very useful though, because I don't have to draw the exact measurements every time. There's also a video on my channel of me making these, so if you're interested in something like this, go check that out. All right, let's go back to the beginning and let's go ahead and give ourselves a rating. Get better at drawing hands. Did I get better? I think I did. I honestly think I did. Compared to a lot of the earlier stuff that I've done in an earlier sketchbook, I think I've done better. More composition studies? I definitely did that. Cars? I did draw a lot of cars. So I'd say that was a success. The only thing I'm not too certain about is I didn't do a lot of emphasis on shadows. And what I mean is like big blocky sort of shapely shadows. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to give myself a negative score on that. So if we tally that up, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 75%. This means that the goals that I set forth for my next sketchbook, I will try harder to hit them. Yeah. Jesus Christ! That was pretty thrilling, wasn't it? Yeah. I had a really good time filling out this sketchbook, as I said, and I'm going to be filling out even more. My art journey is still at its beginning. I have so much that I need to learn, and anybody that wants to stick around and just see me work harder and get better, I would appreciate it greatly. And to the people who made it to the end of the video, I cannot appreciate you. It's unfathomable the amount of people that have been watching my videos, and I am just so incredibly thankful. In other news, I just hit 200 subscribers not long ago, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's definitely a lot to me. And to all the people who have subscribed, I love you, and I want to kiss you, and I want to hug you, and if God willing, I would love to marry you. I would love to take your hand in it. Another thing I want to show off here is watercolor that I did from the film Spirited Away. I did a short on it, sort of just showing me making it, but not that many people watched it, so and I just thought I'd show it off because I'm very, very proud of this little thing. All right, it's been another sketchbook tour. I hope everybody has a great rest of your day.